Hi folks, Frank Connors again. Hey, it's November already. You probably remember I'm a Vietnam vet, and today's story is sort of linked to that. I did call it, Time to Empty the Junk from the Trunk. Who keeps stuff like this? There's a North Vietnamese flag. Looks like it has a bullet hole in the lower right corner. There's a set of dog tags, some spent rifle cartridges, and 2 bullets that are probably still alive. Add a rusting Pabst Blue Ribbon can with its top gone, a tattered Bible, a Vietnamese phrase book, a bronze bell, a tin canteen, and a tiny pair of Ho Chi Minh sandals, bunches of photographs, a few sealed sea ration cans, a file folder filled with some yellowing newspaper clippings, a bunch of old letters, still in their free Vietnam envelopes, and reams of stacked paper. And you've seen most of the highlights. So I was there the day we seized that flag, and yes, I can tell you live rounds were flying. The beer can came home before I did, filled with film that spoiled before it could be developed. You know, in the Nam we were issued a single 16-ounce can of room temperature PBR every month, if you wanted it or not. We used to call it helicopter cooled, or chopper cooled. Most guys took it without questions. Have you ever chugged a full can of warm beer? I check the dog tags when I need to be remembered of my blood type. I keep a spare in my truck keys. The Bible was a gift from a loving friend. I use the margins of it to scribble notes, the pages to store pictures, and the front cover to log my year. To this day, I don't understand why I didn't spend more time reading that book. The sandals and uniform came from a pile of spoils, no real story there, and the bell came from a water buffalo that didn't need it anymore. The photos, well, a few were taken by me during the time that's now all but surreal, but too many of those pictures are of guys who will never be 75 years old. Yeah, all that stuff is packed into an old suitcase, collecting dust under my side of the bed. Maybe I open it once a year on a specific, special day that comes to mind, and maybe it sits there unnoticed, unopened, unwanted for years at a time. My sweet Jane has often walked into our bedroom, noticed what I was into, and just left the room. Sometimes there's an acknowledgement, a question, a hug. Sometimes not. Jane has always had that sense, that understanding, knowing when to step in and when to step away. The reasons for keeping this motley collection of riffraff may have changed over the years. My kids might want it someday, I used to think. Maybe there's a museum somewhere. Maybe I can sell some of this stuff. But the morbid, harsh truth is that I can't ever be the one who would redistribute it or throw it away. There are too many pieces of me in that old suitcase. My year in Vietnam opened on 28 May 1967. That's 50 years ago this month. I stepped willingly off that air-conditioned TWA jetliner into the stifling tropical heat of Saigon. Just 20 years old, I was a pumped-up paratrooper who knew there was nothing in the world that I couldn't do. But I was really just weeks away from being beaten and humbled within inches of my life. Soon enough, I would be counting the hours between the next night and that day when I could finally return home. This past year, I spent blocks of snowy days pulling my old letters from their envelopes, putting them into handy, readable plastic folders. They became hundreds of pages, all neatly arranged by date. Surely, if there is an anniversary to celebrate, thought I, this is the logical place to start. Most of the letters had been mailed to my mother, some to my sisters, some to my aunts, and a few to other friends in Bodenham. Many times, this old guy would stop, read and reread, fascinated by the voice of that crazy young kid coming back at me from those pages. Too many nights in the past 50 years, I've laid quietly in my bed thinking about those letters and about those days. Maybe this year, maybe this anniversary, I can embrace the history better and make it get further away from it. Thanks for listening.